Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
And for the main course, we're going to talk about just quickly the Wallabies squad and the All Blacks squad that was just announced on Monday. Actually, it feels kind of like, whilst the Wallabies squad was announced, I think it was a week ago Sunday. Was it a week ago or was it this Sunday? Am I getting that wrong?
A week ago, mate.
It was a week ago, yeah. It kind of feels like there's been a new Wallabies squad announced today almost, because the training must have been so bloody hard and so tough that half the players have been injured. So very interesting, with a whole bunch of young guns who are going to get the opportunity to step up for the country. Nels, why don't you take us through those injuries?
Oh, mate, there's a bit of a mix around with them. Like, I don't know how serious some of them are. Nick White, he's been ruled out for the rest or the entirety of the French tour with a knee injury. I think it was Matty Tamua. He's left camp currently. I'm not too sure what that injury was.
Is it a shoulder or something?
Yeah. Well, all I know is he has left camp, so that's not a good sign. But there's reports that he might be back in, as well as James O'Connor. He's got a bit of a niggling injury. But look, he could be a good chance of playing in that first test as well. We've still got Jake Gordon missing as well, which means if we're looking at this halfback, no Nick White, we're going to possibly see Lonergan come in to get his first test debut with no Powell in the squad, so he might get called in as well.
So, of course, that means Tate McDermott starting and Lonergan on the bench, we think.
Yeah. Mate, that's what it's going to be, unless they bring Powell in and rush him above Lonergan, which wouldn't make a lot of sense.
And did I see Reece Hodge as well might also still not be back?
It looks like Reece Hodge should be back. Right. He's in the group. He's training. He's taking his spot in that squad.
Okay, huge. So anyway, that's a lot of our veterans there. That's a lot of our experience, our leaders. Nick White, James O'Connor, Tamua, like kind of pivotal in leading around the young backline. But
Will Harrison in the squad yet?
Yeah, look, I mean, if we're having a bigger injury to Tamua or Jock, we actually could see him come into this squad, at least as a development player. They're going to need to carry another fly half unless they're going to use Hodge there, really. So, I don't know. I
thought Hodge had quite a good game last year when he played at fly half. I think we were all quite pleasantly surprised.
I think they didn't play off him a lot, to be honest. He did do a couple of positives when he was there in that role, but they did seem to play, around him. He was definitely a first receiver, but it wasn't all based off him. He made some good choices, but yeah, it's interesting. I don't think he's a 10.
So guys, I'll put this Wallabies squad back up on screen. Why don't we just have a good look? I know there's a lot of people discussing this, including us on the Royal Rumble podcast the other night, or show the other day.
I was going to say, speaking of that, Harry, giving you a shout out, mate. The Royal Rumble pod, you guys put out a Twitter poll for who your starting Wallabies side would be for Game 1 in the France series. And Harry, look, unlike fantasy this year, he was winning that by a landslide. So, and I have to say, I certainly thought Harry's was most in line with what I would pick. So, kudos there.
I think what this proves is that Nelson and I have a lot of Twitter accounts. We're at 2% of votes so far. Nelson and I quit work just so we could go in. Nelson's been sick all day. It's been an effective campaign. That's what I would say. But look, over to the Wallabies squad. We've talked about at length in different places about who's in it.
Have you got it up on screen? There we go. Yeah.
Let's talk about who isn't in it, because that's what I want to talk about. Let's just have a quick groan about the people that we're missing. Look, I'll go first. Isaac Rodder. Now, I was thinking about this the other day. If he signs for the Waratahs, surely they pick him in the Wallabies squad, right? But he signed for the Western Force. Wallabies cap gone.
I love the negativity there around it. But look, apparently he's actually playing for them in their match against, I think it's the Bay of Plenty, is it? So he's arrived back in Australia. I'm surprised they're not rushing him back into their squad, to be honest. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, he's definitely bruised the relationships with not only with Brad Thorne, but obviously with Rugby Australia as well. So there's some rebuilding to be done there.
Yeah, they might want him to earn it.
What about you guys? Who are the players that are the biggest misses for you?
We're all overseas, to be honest. But
there's probably I don't know if there's a lot that really upsets me in this squad, to be fair. There's a bit of an eye to the future.
Oh, sorry. Okay. No,
Look, Liam Wright is definitely a potential, seeing as especially it's a bigger squad. And I mean, if you're picking Liam Wright or Lockie Swinton, yes, I think you can tell what they're going for here. They want to have that physicality. And I mean, Swinton shapes up as that sort of player more than Liam Wright. I really do like Liam Wright, but for me, I think he's going to get left behind a little bit by Mick Wright in the future as a 7 option. And we do have some barnstorming 6 options as well. So I feel that he's hard done by, but I don't think it's too far off.
I'd say, look, for mine, a really easy one, Fergus Lee Warner. I think I certainly think that he has done enough to be involved in that conversation. And I don't know, look, I originally really liked Darcy Swain when he came onto the scene. He had a lot of skills and he was very fast and mobile. But as I'm finding the case more and more with a lot of Super Rugby and then international locks, their role obviously predominantly is for the set piece. And Darcy Swain, in putting on all this size, has really slowed down. And he's starting to, dare I say it, become more and more like he who shall not be named ever again on this podcast, Captain Mud, which is certainly a bit rough. But yeah, I don't know. And he's kind of just making more and more mistakes and less positive contributions for mine. So I don't know. But Fergus Lee Warner is a man who doesn't do anything but positive contributions. And, we've talked a lot about how, is it because he's not quite big enough to be a lock? He's perhaps a little bit too small, but for mine, I'd be happy to start him, to play him in the Wallabies squad at lock.
If we want to gloss over or just touch on a few of the other omissions, we've got no Pete Samu. I know he had injury through the back end of Super Rugby.
I think
Trans-Tasman.
Samu.
Yeah. I mean, no Falau Fainga, no Jordan Uelisi. Pretty big cause, but they were both left out of the squad early on in the year. No Joey Powell, no Trevor Hosea, Seru Uru.
Yeah, Trevor Hosea. I'd forgot about him, actually. That's a very interesting one.
I think Hosea is quite a big player to get left out, but it's interesting when you've got the likes of Darcy Swain and no Trevor Hosea after, I think, Trevor being in the squad last year, and they've brought in Sitaleki Tamani, who he's big, he's had a decent year, but do we see him making it into the final, into the Rugby World Cup and really being influential in that squad?
No.
Yep, that's my answer. I think this is a time we should be building, and we've got a lot of physicality around that squad. I don't think we need Tamani in there.
I think Tamani, look, what he can bring as well is he's obviously been playing in France for quite some time. So he has played with a lot of the players and understands a lot of the French systems and whatnot. I think those insights can be useful. Certainly you don't have to be in the squad to provide all that, but I think that will help. But also, we just need a lock who does his job. Hard ball carrying, good at the set piece. So I'm very happy to have Sitaleki Tamani in the team.
Nick Frost.
I've been a huge fan. But no, for mine, Nelsy touched on it. Falau Fainga. Sorry?
Isaac Rodder.
Yeah.
As in, who would I prefer?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, yeah, just anyone that could be playing the World Cup.
Look, I would prefer to have Isaac Rodder, yes, absolutely. But no, I'm quite happy with Sitaleki Tamani. I just mean as opposed to, if we don't have Rodder and whatnot. But no, the other one I was going to say, Falau Fainga, you brought up. I'm quite surprised. Yes, he's had a relatively quiet year. But for mine, he was right in the battle with Brandon Paenga-Mosa for, our top starting hooker. And I think he's certainly our most skillful hooker. And so it seems easy to kind of forget he's fallen away into mediocrity or something. He's a very good player that just hasn't been showing up recently. But I don't know. I would still like to see him in the squad.
He's definitely an interesting one because he's got quite a few caps. He's been there for quite some time. And they're bringing in likes of 2 new hookers and Brendan Paenga-Mosa, who's leaving. Feleti Kaitu has uncapped, Lockie Lonergan uncapped, and Brendan Paenga-Mosa heading offshore. So he really was that player that, could be that middle tier, just behind Brendan Paenga-Mosa with some experience. So when BPA heads offshore, are they just going to hand the jersey to Lonergan? What are they going to do? Or Kaitu?
Well, it's interesting. I love Nos Lonergan, but he is still extremely young, and he's a player that you take away on the spring tour type of thing for development. I don't know if we'll have a spring tour or whatnot, but Yeah, it's really interesting for him to be thrown in so early. Normally, you kind of take two established hookers and then you bring in a third as a wild card type of thing. But bringing in two new hookers is huge.
He for me, he's probably that third, the wild card player in this squad to build for the future. I haven't seen enough to suggest that he'll be up to it in the scrums and in different parts of the field. Yes, he's amazing ball in hand. He's quick around the paddock and a very exciting young player. But there's no way you want this guy starting a Wallabies cap this year against the All Blacks. You know what I mean? There's just no chance. And Brendan Pangamosa is going to be that man. But no Feleti Kaitu. And who have we had brought in? We've had, what's his name from the Brumbies? The backup, the third choice.
Billy Pollard.
No, not Billy Pollard.
Connell McInerney.
McInerney, yeah.
He's been injured all year as well.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me either. I don't get it. And I think you need an experienced hooker in the squad. And I think what it does show is that where the forwards coaches are going, they obviously have big raps on Nos.
And lastly, look, I know we want to move on, but just rounding that for mine, I know we have a wealth of awesome front rowers. Super stoked to have Bell on the loose, Alatoa and Bonner, Farmasili and Tupou on the right. I mean, how good is that? But Harry Johnson-Holmes, I think, it's a tough one for him. I think he's been incredibly good. And yes, he's kind of switched to tight head to accommodate Angus Bell in the TARS. But, for mine, he's probably our third loose head in the country.
He's got to be up there. I whenever you hear people talk about the Waratahs, one of the positions they say is we need more props. And I don't think we need any starting props. I think, yes, that second tier of player there would be great. We're into our third and fourth prop choices. But he's a great prop. And he's still quite young. I think he's got lots of potential moving forward. But we've also got Tom Robertson, who has had a pretty decent season for the Force as well. Has a bit of experience in a Wallaby squad. So there's some props around Australia.
It's true. Well, look, as Harry alluded to earlier, if you sign with the Force, apparently you don't make the Wallaby squad. So that's just how that works.
Yeah, just for that fee.
Tamani?
A little bit.
Sorry, Last player I'll say was for mine. You guys know I am not a massive Andy Muirhead fan, but the player who missed out, I don't know if he's injured. I don't think he's injured. I think he's back. But Suliasi Vunivalu, as I said, let's throw him straight in there.
Mate, he is absolutely injured. He has a hammy tear because Harry Wilson decided to put a grubber through a few weeks ago.
I was just testing
the whole French series.
It had been too long into this podcast and I hadn't said his name, so I kind of just also wanted to throw it out there.
He's expected to be back for the Rugby Championship as well. So I think Dave Rennie's thinking the same thing as you, mate. Don't worry about that.
Because if I get my way, we'll rename the podcast the Suliasi Vunivalu Fan Club Podcast.
Boys, how about this? I just want to have a little run through. He's going to be listed in this. This is a potential back line that's currently injured and away from this Wallaby squad at the moment. So you got Nick White with Jake Gordon on the bench. You got James O'Connor in the centres. You got Matt Tu'umua and Isaiah Parisi on the wings. You got Vunivalu and Pataya and Dane Hayward-Petty at fullback. That's a pretty experienced back line that is missing from this Wallaby squad. People keep talking about it's a young French side. They're missing a lot of their talent. We are missing bucket loads if we're missing those players.
Absolutely. And I don't want to go into starting a conversation about overseas players and whatnot. Technically, he's not overseas right now, but Samu Karevi, who's in there playing sevens, just how good would he be to have right about now? He would absolutely tear the French to bits.
He really would. I hadn't even thought about him. I just don't think he's...
I don't care, mate. The problem we have right now is not centres. We've got Hunter Paisami at inside centre and Lenny Katau gets his chance at 13. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Karevi's phenomenal. But who cares? I'm happy with those two there. If Karevi can play 10, I'm all for it.
Look, like Lamar the Hurricanes, and we talked about just playing him at 10. I'd play Karevi at 10. Fine, I don't care. As long as he's on the field, works for me. But
guys, let's push. Can we? We'll have a really quick, brief look at the All Black side, just so we can.
What announced on Monday?
Yeah, just been listed. Stick with me for a second, and I'll get it to show us on the screen. So, can you guys see that one?
We can see that now, and I think this is actually the first time Harry's seeing this squad. So, there's 4 new names, Harry. I don't know if you can rifle through and find them for us, but
I can. I'll do it for us if we want, boys. We've got Quintapaya,
Ethan Blackadder, Finlay Christian, Quintapaya. There you go.
Well done.
So How about Finlay Christie, Scottish-born, first man that's Scottish-born in the All Black squad for a very long time, I'm sure.
Yes. Sorry, I was just taken back by how interesting that fact was.
Mate, that's nuts. Like, he's a little ginger from Scotland, and he's in the All Black squad.
How many Kiwis are playing for Scotland though? There's Sean Maitland's over there.
Because that's not exciting. That happens all the time.
Guys,
It's the other way around.
Looking at the 10s here, they've only picked Bodie and Richie. Like Joshua has dropped out of the squad now, which we haven't bothered to replace him. That one is one that stands out to me.
They've got David Havili, mate.
I think it's because they have Havili and they have
D-Mac.
Damien McKenzie, both who can obviously play 10.
Yeah.
Finlay Christie, for mine, look, I'm sure you guys are super stoked. We've obviously talked up Finlay Christie all year. That's pretty huge. But for mine, certainly tough on TJ Perenara. Like, yes, I understand he's been overseas and that's the cost of doing it. And I think TJ's tweeted out a few times since the announcement. He was saying, excited to get back to where it all started. And, he's going to play club rugby or ITM with, absolute vigor, like you can imagine. And he was just saying that, I think another tweet I saw him say was like, just, control what you can control. So obviously a lot of people know he's hurting, but that's a rough one because he's got to be up there as one of the top halfbacks in the world.
Him and Aaron Smith are about the same age. They're just doing a bit of succession planning. He'll be back. No worries whatsoever. I don't think you should worry too much.
It's also been 7 weeks since he's played footy. Bring the man back into New Zealand rugby, let him get back into it. You don't need to rush him straight back in. Sure, he's got a good chance of being in the All Black squad moving forward, but I think Finlay Christie's earned it. TJ Perenara has been offshore, hasn't played for a couple of months. There's nothing wrong with letting him work his way back in. He might be in for the Rugby Championship. This is only for a couple matches.
All right, now moving through the squad, I might go through some of the forwards just to put out.
Hold on. We've done the other backs. Let's finish with the outside backs.
Okay, all right.
3 outside backs from the Crusaders, including George Bridge. Couldn't make the bench at the Crusaders, but he's still there.
Let's be honest, he was injured. That's why he wasn't making the bench at the Crusaders, Harry.
Hey, he got dropped before that.
No, mate. He was injured at the start of the year. He came back, he started, then he got injured again. That's exactly what happened to him this year.
Fozzie probably rang up and went, Razor, mate, Fainganuku's killing it. Just I need you to rest the Rolls Royce, leave it in the garage. Bridge, I need him for the All Blacks. Can't have anyone else getting injured. So.
No Nareki either, guys. I thought that's pretty disappointing. Sure, he's better than Bridge this year.
Look, I think so. Like he was the player I thought was going to sort of break that mold a little bit more as a winger for the All Blacks. He's got a kick to him. He's got quite a developed game, not just a physical, hard running game that you see from Clark and Sever Reese. Obviously, no Caleb Clark. He's playing 7s this year as well. But I would just love to see Nareki get that crack.
I think Anton Lienert-Brown. I was going to say Anton Lienert-Brown's out injured. I'm fairly certain. So. It is going to be a choice between, Eno Havili and Rico and Tapia. So Tapia, they've said they see as a definite 12 and they don't have many specialist 12s, particularly with Laumape leaving. So it's certainly a bit sad for Laumape that you feel like if he was sticking around, this would be the year that he'd be starting at 12 every game. So it's a rough break when timing doesn't work out like that for you.
There's got to be a good chance we see David Havili wearing a 12 jersey in the All Blacks this year.
Guys, let's round this out with the forward pack, Cargie. Let's give us
Hooker, no surprises there. That's awesome. Props for mine, I don't really see what all this hype about Ethan de Groot is. For mine, there's plenty of good loose heads in the country that injured. I would have picked ahead of him. But the rest of the props, that kind of explains themselves. There's no, obviously, Offa Tuamafasi's out injured as well. The locks, Brodie Retallick is back. The world's best lock and one of the probably only locks to win the best rugby player in the world from the IRB in, I don't know what it was, 2014 or 15. How good. Like, actually, as scared as I am of seeing him playing us, I'm also super keen to see him playing again. He has absolutely been tearing it up in Japan, as you can imagine, just galloping for 50-metre tries and whatnot. But
it's been out of sight, out of mind. I feel like I've forgotten how he plays, It will be really good to see him play. And, hey, you brushed over it. Ethan de Groot's in the squad. What about Aiden Ross? Didn't he have a phenomenal season for the
Well, that's what I was saying. There's plenty of props that I would pick ahead of Ethan de Groot. There's plenty of number ones.
Tyrrell Lomax is in there as well. Give Aiden Ross a jersey.
Yeah, I can't help but feel there's a good chance he's in there from all that shit talking he did against the Tongan Thor. Like, that's the best thing I've seen him do all year, and it frustrated me.
I've got to be thinking if we dig deep enough, there's got to be some relations, family relations there or something. That's the only solution I can come up with. But no, look, pushing on, super keen to see Brody Retallick, as I said, and the back row. I think it'd be interesting. What do we see the starting? I'll let Nelson answer this one. What does he see as the starting back row? But God, there's some players in that loose forward list there, isn't there? Nels, what do you see as a starting back row? Test number one. Also, not the test. First, I'm going to go for the first Bledisloe, not the test against Fiji. They could roll out anything. Test Bledisloe number one. Who's your back row from those players there?
Oh, mate, it's tough. It depends how they use Artie Sevilla, and I think that's basically what you build around. I think there's a good chance we could see someone like Ethan Blackadder getting a real good crack at that 6 jersey. I think Dalton Papali'i's been great and could be wearing that 7s jersey if it's not Artie Sevilla. And if Artie is playing number 8, it's got to be him starting with Hoskins Sotutu as the other option. But
so what's your starting 3, Nelson?
Yeah, I was going to say,
for me or for the All Blacks? For me, or what are the All Blacks going to pick?
No, for you. What's your starting 3 for the first Bledisloe this year? All 3 of us will pick it.
Hoskins Sotutu number 8, Artie Sevilla number 7, and Shannon Frizzell or Kira number 6.
There's no walls in this, mate. Harry, what have you got?
Yeah, man, I'm going Frizzell, Artie Sevilla, and Sotutu as well. How can you go anything else?
Pretty hard to beat that. I actually thought you might consider a Luca Jacobson in the 6 jersey.
I considered it, but those 3 have been in phenomenal form. Luke Jacobson's probably on my bench as the guy that can cover everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
True.
Or you can bring on Papali'i from the bench. Artie Sevilla can push to 6 or 8 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Akira 6. Just my love for Akira will never end. Then 7 to 8. Because if they start Rieko Ioane at 13, if you have both Ioanes on the field at the same time, it's fact that actually they play an extra 50% better. So that's what they'll be going for mine.
I think there's a good chance we see a lot of Ethan Blackadder this season.
But very good. Any players that we think missed out from looking at that list? Any players?
Mape.
Boshier.
Yep. Anyone else?
No, Peri Chicken.
Peri Chicken. I mean, look, they've got some pretty good locks. It's very thin, the positions. I mean, we talked about props. Yeah, I think back row is Boshier, your man Boshier. Josh Ioane, we talked about as well.
There's a lot there. Sadly, they've got so much depth that it sucks to be on the fringes.
I know. If any of those players miss out, want to come play for the Wallabies, we will accept we'll rush through a citizenship and they can play for us.